Straight Facts Sports Show that educates and entertains. I'm Joel Schmitz, accompanied by James Jackson, Jake Galley, and crunching numbers in the back, we got Stat Matt. This past week in sports, Karis LeVert and the Brooklyn Nets agreed to a 3-year, $52 million contract. The U.S. men's national basketball team loses its first game since 2006. The Orioles become the first team in the MLB this season eliminated from the playoff contention. And 15-year-old tennis prodigy Coco Gauff wins her first match at the U.S. Open. Here's a fact straight at you. Since 2012, the Colts have won 61.6% of their games when Andrew Luck started, compared to only winning 36% of their games when another QB starts. How will the Colts respond to Andrew Luck's retirement?
Well, and James, before we get into that, how did you respond when you first heard that he was retiring?
It was at first like a... you know, sometimes where you see something, you read something on your phone, and you're not sure if you read it right, or like, I can't be reading this right, this has got to be wrong, so you kind of like shake your head, maybe lock your phone, unlock your phone again just to read it again. Like, I almost didn't believe it, like, what was going on. Like, I thought, like, I get it on my home screen, I see Bleacher Report tweeted, and I'm almost like, oh, Bleacher Report is making, like, a little funny video, trying to go viral, like a little picture. And then I open it, and I'm like, oh, no, this man actually
this is like for real.
Dropped out of the NFL real
I was
quick.
pretty much the same way. I straight up did not believe it. I thought, like, okay, this is like one of those reports, like, oh, it may be happening, and then it'll come out later, and then I was like, oh my God, this is Adam Schefter.
How do you
tweeting
think
this stuff.
he's going to feel September 8th when he's watching on his TV when the Colts come out to play the Chargers?
See, that's a good point, because it's different now. I'm sure he already said it's the hardest decision he's ever had to make in his life, and I 100%, like, I 100% can think he's telling the truth and believe him, but I think it's a whole different animal to say it, and then you're right, September 8th, actually see your team go out and play, and you're not a part of them anymore. Not only are you not playing, but you're not there.
And it's like a week and a half away, like just barely under 2 weeks. I mean, this is something that we've seen in the past where Calvin Johnson and Gronk more recently have retired somewhat shockingly at their peak, but that was after the season. This is before the season, which... Right before the season, which makes it very, very difficult for the Colts to adjust. However, if there was a coach to do it, Frank Reich has a history. Trust me, I can tell you he has a history of adjusting his quarterback
on the fly,
of adjusting his offense around his quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, the last time that he played was when Wentz, look, there I go, down the Eagles road with the Frank Reich. But the last time that Luck missed the entire season, they had Jacoby Brissett in 2 weeks before the regular season, and were like, all right, kid, show us what you got. And this was his second year in the league. It didn't end up going too well. I think this time around, Jacoby Brissett has a chance to make himself some money because really all he has to do is be like a Dak Prescott level quarterback. That's it. You don't have to be Andrew Luck. They have a good team. You may not win the division because you're in a pretty good division, which we'll get into, but to me, Jacoby Brissett, he doesn't need to be Luck level for them to still win and be successful.
No, and he has the luxury of what you just said, of having an offense that not only is good, but is already used to him. Andrew Luck has missed time before. Jacoby Brissett isn't coming in as a backup quarterback who has to learn his offense and learn his teammates. Now he's had plenty of time to get to know them, to get to know what they like, get some chemistry. And I bet Frank Reich already has a playbook designed for Jacoby Brissett. Like, you can't be really oblivious to the fact that Andrew Luck has had numerous injuries over his career, and that you have a quarterback who you went out and got because of this situation.
Not to mention, like, the coach and the players know what's at stake. Like, they're not naive to this situation of practice in the locker room. That all filters out to the actual game. Like, that he needs to set the tone. But, like, again, nobody's naive to the situation. And Jacoby Brissett, like, honestly, I think people need to give him more credit, because it's not like he's coming in, like you said, like he's been here before. When they pulled him from the Patriots, he was forced to play 15 games straight. Mm-hmm. Given he finished, I believe it's 4 out of 11 games total, but obviously wasn't his best. But he's been put in these situations before, so
I don't think he's been given a fair go, to be honest. And this will be because even back then, it's like you still kind of have the really shitty Colts offensive line that got Luck hurt in the first place. They have a really good offensive line. Now, that's not an issue. And the reason that I say he has to be Dak level when you're kind of going in and out and looking at this Colts team is because I think they compare very closely to the Dallas Cowboys, like literally in how they're constructed. You have a big wide receiver number 1 in T.Y. Hilton and Amari Cooper. You have a quarterback now that if he can just be, all he has to be is a game manager plus. You know, he can't be too bad, can't really be the reason you lose games, but you also don't have to be the reason that you win games. And then on the defensive side, they have a lot of upside there as well. So,
and what they also have going for them is 2 very formidable tight ends. They're even better at the tight end position than the Cowboys are. And when you have a backup quarterback, like maybe Jacoby Brissett is a little different because he already has somewhat of a chemistry and relationship with T.Y. Hilton, knows how to throw him the ball, has packages for him. But most of the time when you bring in a backup quarterback, that kind of eliminates the home run hitting power of your offense. Not many backup quarterbacks are slinging the ball down 50 yards down the field. Yeah, to T.Y. Hilton. Yeah. So then who do you go to? Then you go to your big safety nets at tight end, which you have Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron, who had a very good season last year.
What I will say from watching Brissett is that he's actually a guy who's not afraid to throw it downfield, which is great. With T.Y. Hilton, he's a guy who you definitely, and also you look at Paris Campbell, kind of the same type guy, you're going to need to be able to throw these 50-50 balls up to them and hope that they're a great receiver. They're either going to outrun the coverage or win
short,
that battle.
I don't know if they jump on the
right.
That's short balls.
And that's why, and you podcast listeners won't be able to see it, I put air quotes around 50-50 balls. I mean, you throw a deep ball and maybe sometimes the guy gets a hand on it, deflects it. Not a jump ball necessarily, just a deep ball that there's not clear separation. Because anyone can hit a wide open guy downfield. Josh Allen can do that. But where it takes... And where you will thrive in a Frank Reich offense is throwing the ball deep and sometimes taking those chances. Nick Foles is like king of that, of just kind of throwing it up and letting your receiver make plays. But I don't know. To me, what will determine how well the Colts do is how well Brissett plays. And like I said, all he has to do is be Dak level for them to get into the playoffs.
Right. So he's sitting on. Let's break down Jacoby Brissett's career numbers here. He's sitting on a career completion percentage of 59%, so around 60%. Has about 3,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, with a QBR of 81. So not blowing you away by any stretch of the imagination, but for a career backup quarterback, a career guy who's had to step in bad situations, you could do a lot worse than Jacoby Brissett.
I think Lee's going to be pleasantly surprised how the Indianapolis Colts come out this season. I think they're still going to be very competitive. I think they're going to be very explosive as well.
And they're going to get the benefit of a lot of teams overlooking them because, they don't have Andrew Luck. Forgetting that there's 10 other people on the offensive side and a whole other defense they have to contend to, who gets one of their best playmakers back in Malik Hooker on the defensive end, and then Darius Leonard last year, who emerged as one of the best linebackers in the league. So you still have a very good team that was constructed basically around Andrew Luck. It sucks that you pluck him out of that equation, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the dynamic playmakers that you put around him aren't there anymore.
Right, and it's actually good because when you look at Marlon Mack in the running game, which was a big part in the playoffs, Marlon Mack was churning people up. He does not perform well when it's a close game, and that's in large part because they're not giving him as many touches. That's okay, though, because in an offense like this, if you have a Nyheim Hines who... I love Nyheim Hines. There's a stat I saw that compared him. He's one of 8 rookies to have the stats that he had. The other ones included Kamara, McCaffrey, Barkley. Obviously, a little bit of a cookie cutter stat or cherry pick stat to make him look good.
We make a living out of those, though. That's what we do. You bring them on here, and that's what we do. So Stat Matt, turn that one up real quick.
In terms of the expectations of the Indianapolis Colts, in terms of Vegas, their projected win total, fell by 3 games from 9.5 to 6.5.
They only had a 9.5 win total with Luck.
Right. I mean, I think they were more of kind of a dark horse thing because I heard a ton of buzz from people who report on the NFL that were saying the Colts are going to be in the Super Bowl this year. They were a Super Bowl pick.
I don't think that's far-fetched to say with Luck.
I don't think that's out of the question at all.
I don't know.
Even with Brissett, you don't think that's out of the question.
No, look, this is my thoughts on him. I think there was always a level of uncertainty when Luck was in. When's he going to get hurt again? What's going to happen next type thing? And now that he's gone, they don't really need to worry as Colts fans sitting there okay, now we know where QB is, and here we go.
It's a monkey off your shoulders.
Right.
That is a little worrisome off your shoulders. Here, what I'm really interested to see is with Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton is a Pro Bowl, definitely number one level type receiver. With Jacoby Brissett, what level of wide receiver is T.Y. Hilton? Does he fall? Does he stay in that Pro Bowl category? Like, what do you think happens with T.Y.?
I think, actually, if you look at his statistics from that year that Brissett was the quarterback for them, he actually had decent statistics. Again, I think it's not really what can Jacoby do with T.Y. It is how much is Jacoby going to be trusted to put that ball up and to try and pinpoint a ball maybe 40 yards downfield on a deep crossing route where the safety's coming down and you don't want to get your guy killed, so maybe you look off after seeing that, where Luck might have thrown the ball. So it's going to be hard to protect. Again, this is on the fly, like Jacoby Brissett kind of gets thrown under the bus a little bit.
I mean, in 2016, you wouldn't have thought T.Y. Hilton was anything different. I mean, his touchdowns weren't immaculate, had 6 touchdowns. But he still popped off for over 1,000 yards in that season with a catch percentage of 58.7. So still at a 60% catch percentage.
It's about who he is.
That's what he is for a person who's running deep routes, who's probably not going to get a whole bunch of targets with a backup quarterback in. Like, that's the last time he had to play a full season with Jacoby Brissett and still got 1,000 yards out of it.
Right. And like I said, like, it really comes down to, like, let's say it's the same question as would T.Y. Hilton do as good if they go from Luck to Dak Prescott? I keep bringing up Dak because I really think they do compare in what they're going to be asked to do inside of their offense.
You're asked to do and what you do.
Right.
What you do is different.
It's a totally different thing. We're going to find out if he can even be, we like to knock Dak Prescott, but he's still, if you look at the tiers of quarterbacks, he's better.
You like to knock Dak Prescott.
No, you like to knock him.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Fun of him with his
don't.
contract situation.
Okay, well, yeah.
It's funny.
Oh, yeah, because he's asking for a ridiculous contract, but I don't knock Dak Prescott like you knock Dak Prescott.
Correct.
Guys, we know Luck has been known for maneuvering around the field in clutch situations, correct?
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned, I think this was a slip-up, just the birds earlier. I heard comparisons this past week, this current situation to Wentz and Foles situation.
Yeah.
Now, the Eagles had to reconstruct their entire offense. Is that something you can kind of relate to this situation? Because to me, I don't think they necessarily do. I think they have the fundamentals. I think they have the basics. I don't think there's a lot of maneuvering that needs to be done. What do you think?
No, I don't think a lot of maneuvering needs to be done.
Fine-tuning needs to be done.
Fine-tuning, maybe not adjusting the personnel, but adjusting the game plan, I think has to happen a little bit of who like what your primary packages are, like your offensive strategy, how you want to move down the field. That's got to change. Personnel-wise, I don't think a thing changes. I mean, they don't really have the liberty to.
Right, you run the same scheme, but maybe the calls that you make on like a third and mid, like 3rd and 5, they might be different with Brissett than they were with Andrew Luck. Yeah. That's what I think it comes down to. It's just the fine-tuning of the playbook.
You know what I know keeps you up at night? I can literally see it.
You're about to say what I thought Jewel was going to say.
Literally see it written across your forehead is you're worried that the next person that does this is Carson Wentz.
That's correct. I would say, I mean, it's not even before Luck, it's something that's on your mind, is the next guy who's going to retire early going to be Carson Wentz? Because when you look back, all throughout college, he had big injuries. Into the pros, he has not been able to avoid injuries.
His career is synonymous
with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck didn't have a good offensive line.
But even his career turnout is his career path. If you consider injuries, it's pretty synonymous with that of Andrew Luck.
Want to know what the difference is? What's the difference, James? You tell me.
What is the difference?
Carson's got some jewelry on his finger that Andrew
Luck
does not have.
That he didn't play for.
Oh, he didn't play for. So Carson Wentz does not play that season. The Eagles still get the number 1 seed.
No, what I'm saying is there's no guarantee. I'm not saying this, I guess. There's no guarantee that Carson Wentz does what Nick Foles does in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl.
That's fair. That's fair, but
I don't think Carson Wentz puts up. I don't know if Nick Foles will do this again. I don't know if Carson Wentz outduels Tom Brady.
Here's what I'm going to say: if the guy who is the long snapper gets a ring, and you're not going to say, "Oh, he didn't do anything to deserve," blah blah blah.
Was he on the field? Did he get on the field?
Whatever. The third string defensive tackle gets a ring.
Okay.
Who doesn't make
all
the
right,
field?
guys, we're gonna bring it back because we could go on tangents about.
Okay, you're right. So wrap us up.
So when Luck spoke, or I apologize, when Brissett spoke to the media 2 days ago when he was asked by them what he needed to do to win, his reply was, "Be myself." To me, like I said at the beginning of this, I think the Colts are very much still
You think they're still alive? Yeah,
for the playoffs. What do you guys think the AFC South looks like right now?
Well, it's funny because before this, I think the Colts were running away, the best team in the AFC South. Like, they were the front runners to win that. Maybe not running away, but they were the front runners to win that division. Without Andrew Luck, like, it's funny that we sit here and say, like, oh, their team doesn't change drastically, but without Andrew Luck, they probably go from first to worst. Like that now. Now I'm putting them in like Tennessee Titans category.
That's crazy. The Titans almost made the playoffs.
Titans are going to win the division.
No, the Titans are not going to win the division. Matt is
Texans got a lot worse.
The Texans are going to trade Jadeveon Clowney to the Eagles for a left tackle and running back.
The Titans are. I thought we were not going to do that. I thought we were not going to just magically.
It just came out. I don't.
magically turn it back to the Eagles. The Titans are not going to win the division. If the Titans win the division, I will have like a brain aneurysm.
Let's look at the Titans for a second, because I do think that it's a little poignant. They were one game from the playoffs, and if Mariota plays in Week 17, they may make the playoffs. I don't find their team overwhelming in any aspect. I don't think they have really a great quarterback, great receiver group. They probably have an above-average running back group and an above-average offensive line, but still not like really blowing you out of the water. Defensively, kind of in the same boat where they have good guys. I like Byard; he's a great safety, but like really no one who jumps off the page that much. I think, again, like we talked so much about the quarterback position, it's going to come down to Mariota.
Yeah.
Can Mariota be better than he was before? If yes, they're going to have a chance to win the division.
Well, the reason I say the Texans is because if you look at the quarterbacks in the AFC South now, who's 100% the best quarterback in the AFC South, that you could say far and away is Deshaun Watson.
If he can stay healthy, though.
If he can stay healthy. There's really a question mark with every quarterback in the AFC South now, isn't there?
I mean, with the way that the league is trending, it's every quarterback, period, has something tagging along to their name.
Has something on them.
But I don't know. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Texans. It's funny that we all sit here and overlook the Jaguars, who you want to talk about having an outstanding something. Their defense is off the charts, and they finally get their quarterback in Nick Foles to kind of hopefully right the ship.
Right.
I just don't know if he'll be able to.
But here's the thing is, I think they still lean on their defense to carry them and be the best, the best part of their team.
They hang their hat on their
But they finally have a quarterback who won't lose them games.
That's the key.
Like, that's the key is Nick Foles won't lose you a game. And they're asking pretty much this. You want to talk about what Brissett and Dak Prescott are being asked to do? Nick Foles is being asked to do, like, exactly that. Bro, like, you don't have to win us the game. Just please don't be Blake Bortles and lose us a bunch of games. That's what you don't have to do. Don't turn the ball over 3 times. Don't make stupid boneheaded plays. Nick Foles will do that. Nick Foles is great at doing that.
This is their season, too. While they did give Foles a bunch of money for multiple years, this is going to be kind of the end-all be-all in my opinion, because I just don't see a scenario where they're bringing back Yannick Ngakoue, that you're bringing back Jalen Ramsey, you're bringing back all these guys. Calais Campbell's getting older. You're bringing back all these guys. I just don't see it happening, especially on the defensive end when you're going to have to. Really, their offense is their weakness, so you would think that they're going to probably try and spend more money there.
Right. I
don't know.
I think we talked about Chris Godwin a couple episodes being maybe a sleeper to come out. I think D.D. Westbrook has a very good third year. He's 100% the number one target down there in Jacksonville. Already establishing, from what I've read, a great relationship with Nick Foles. And now he finally has a quarterback who's not bad, so who can get him the ball early and often. And I think D.D. Westbrook booms. But to your point, the problem in ensuing years isn't going to be who they're keeping on offense. It's who they're keeping on defense, because the offense is relatively young.
Right. So so we both agree then, the Texans. Jewel, you said that you still like the Colts. James and I are saying the Texans. Is that correct?
I'm saying the Texans.
I think it's fair to say.
But the Texans have a lot of moving parts on them. They do.
I think the Texans and Jaguars would be close second, if not right up there with the Colts.
Right.
Yes.
The Jaguars are like second by default.
But that's the thing.
They
lost the Honey Badger. I mean, I just don't. The Texans could end up being like a top 3 seed, top 2 seed. I see them. They have that potential. But also, if they
top 2 seed in the AFC in the whole conference.
Yeah. I think that they could have a very good team. But like, let me put the qualifier in that.
No, the AFC South has just become that division again, where like 8-8 wins you the division.
No, because maybe, but they're cannibalizing on each other. They're 8-8 because you go 1-1 versus everyone in your division.
Right.
But I think that the Texans are good enough to kind of transcend that, and what they really need to do is fill in the gaps with the offensive line. I mentioned Jadeveon Clowney and kind of joked about the Eagles. They're one team that it could go to. The Dolphins have assets that they could give up. I heard the name Laramie Tunsil being thrown around who you make the joke he's been very solid down there. He would have been a top 5 pick if not.
I'm not even making fun of him. It's just like a name that I haven't heard.
It's a blast from the past because he got buried on draft night for wearing a weed bong mask. Like,
Jeremy.
Right. So if they could get him out of it, you really shore up your offensive line. Remember, the Eagles. It's funny that they're mentioned. Moved up in front of the Texans. We're going to probably take Andre Dillard. Eagles moved up, snatched Andre Dillard. And now they could possibly benefit if they do trade for Clowney. But when you look at the run defense, which is where Jadeveon Clowney really excels, the Texans were first in rushing defense in terms of DVOA. You can afford, I think, to maybe let go of Jadeveon Clowney, especially if he's not going to be showing up. Right. He doesn't want to show up.
I mean, it's going to be the ultimate test for Deshaun Watson now that his running back goes down and they have basically you or me now in the backfield trying to run the football. So it's all on Deshaun Watson and his receiving core, to go get it done. Luckily, he has probably the best receiver in the NFL.
So wait, just really quick before we move on then. Let's say that I'll be Howie Roseman, you can be actually the non-existent Texans GM. They currently don't have a GM.
So I'm Bill O'Brien then? Great.
You're Bill O'Brien.
I hate Bill
more
O'Brien.
More hair, and you're more liked, just for your confidence. There you go.
And I don't have a butt chin.
Okay, you don't have a butt chin either. Let's say that so you're trying to fill holes. I offer up Big V, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his entire name.
Go ahead, do it.
Halapulavati, Vaitai, something like that.
That's pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty close.
That's good, yeah.
That's pretty close.
So he played minutes. He played a big part in the Eagles Super Bowl run. Solid left tackle, not great. And then I also throw in Jordan Howard to fill up that running back gap.
Jordan Howard makes me bite on it more than.
Would you bite on just those two, or do you probably come back for? Because remember, Jadeveon Clowney is like in almost like a Le'Veon Bell territory right now. So would you take that?
Yes, because of where Jadeveon Clowney is positioned to hold out and not play, not because of his actual talent and his value. Like if Jadeveon Clowney was still willing to play for me and I knew he was going to stay and I had a little bit of leverage, I might ask you to throw in a pick or come back with at least like a second round pick. But the fact that the Eagles know and everybody else knows that Jadeveon Clowney really wants out, I'm probably biting at that because I get a legitimate number 1 running back in Jordan Howard, and then I get someone who has deep experience at that left tackle position.
Experience, right?
Which is hard. He didn't have a great season last year,
right? Not the best, but he is like I say this and I mean it as a compliment. He's like average. Like he's maybe can be at his best a little above average. But Howie Roseman, you heard it here. We brokered the deal. Just go to the Texans. It's already cinched up. Straight facts approved.
If the world was this easy, it would have been done already.
All right, guys, we're going to shift it over to the NBA. In 2017, Kobe Bryant challenged multiple athletes and celebrities to achieve greater than they had before. Giannis was the only person to achieve his winning MVP. Now Kobe has challenged Kyrie Irving to win MVP, and Giannis...
Say it. I'm making her say it.
I'll take it. Bring home a championship. I can't say his freaking last name.
He said Halapulavati, so you got to try.
Who did you say?
Halapulavati, I believe.
How you got to try.
Antetokounmpo.
There you go.
How did you say it?
Antetokounmpo.
You said it, yeah.
You said it.
I don't know what you make of this, James, but I think that one of these is realistic. And ask him. Giannis had to ask him in 2017 for his challenge because Kobe released a batch of them to like Kendrick Lamar, Richard Sherman, Isaiah Thomas, and Giannis was like, "Where's mine?" He was MVP until he responded, and Giannis ended up doing it. And I think Giannis has a good chance of completing this challenge too. I don't know if this season took.
Do you think it's a better chance that the Bucks win a title than Kyrie Irving wins MVP? They're pretty much, I think, at the same percentage of likeliness.
Yes. They're very close.
But I think the answer is yes. Just because they were so close, like, if not for the freakish Kawhi run that engulfed the East last year, I think that they're probably the team coming out. I mean, maybe, who knows, that's a very conjecture type thing. Maybe it would have been the Sixers. But either way, they have a proven track record of being able to go the entire regular season, having that same core together. And then you have your superstar, who Giannis kind of faded against Toronto. But if he can figure out why that happened and rectify it, like I think he will, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. You could argue the best team in the East. But really what makes me go that over Kyrie is just we haven't seen that level out of Kyrie yet.
No, we haven't. And every time that it's supposed to have happened and it didn't, there seems to be an excuse from Kyrie Irving as to why. When it didn't happen when he was with the Cavs, I'm overshadowed by Bron. He goes to the Celtics, off the court drama, locker room turmoil, it's not my fault. Now he goes and he doesn't have KD for a season, and you made the point off camera that it's like a now or never for Kyrie. Because you get KD back next season, and now you have the same situation as you were complaining about with LeBron James. And for this season, it's your team. It's your team in a brand new Eastern Conference.
This is the Kyrie Irving litmus test will be this season because not only is it your team, but this is a perfect system for Kyrie Irving. When you look at how the Nets handle their guards, if you look at the top 5 Nets players last year in terms of minutes per game, they were all guards. Russell, Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, and Alan Crabb was the 5th most. Alan Crabb, 26 minutes per game.
Yeah.
So
they love their guards.
Kyrie, and he slides perfectly into the role that D'Angelo Russell had. He's just D'Angelo Russell, but better.
Wait.
So I think if he becomes that Super Bowl dominant, I'm going to be taking 20-plus shots a game guy. There's a chance. That at least opens up the likelihood that he could win it. You have to be putting up tons of volume to win MVP, but it's just going to depend on, is he going to be good in the locker room? Is he going to fit well as a leader on the court? I don't know. We haven't seen that yet.
Right, and look, he's not a player who, like, technically, he didn't gel well with his new teammates in Boston, and it was win-now mode. Like, both times when he went to a team where it was win-now mode, he didn't gel right. He gelled right in Cleveland. There's no expectation.
Well,
like, you're number one pick on a terrible team.
I mean, they had championship aspirations, and his
first 2 years. That's what I'm saying. When he got to Cleveland, there.
Right, but he was still young then, and then like I'm not a Kyrie Irving supporter, but I think you can maneuver and make excuses for him. I think if you look at Boston, he's a very ball-dominant, I want to have the ball, get into my rhythm, score, take over a game.
And a system coach like
in a system that is predicated on teamwork and defense, 2 things that Kyrie Irving's doesn't excel at. It's not what he's best at. He finally gets a chance only this year, because next year he's going to be right back in that Cleveland situation when he has KD. This year will be the year for him to really put up big numbers.
Right, and his numbers in the past, he has a career points per game of 25 and a career assists of 6.9. Of the 10 guards that have already won NBA MVP, all of them have either had a higher career points per game or a higher career assist per game by his same age of 26.
So he's behind the 8 ball then.
He's behind the 10 ball.
Right.
See what I did there?
That's good. That's a good stat by Matt. And what it shows me is, well, it's also not, again, it's not...
It's also by volume. It's by volume.
Right, it's again about volume, but...
Because we're talking about 3 of those guards being Stephen Curry, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook.
Right, these guys are
shoot at a clip.
Going at record book pace.
Right,
in terms of Harden and Curry, these guys are in the
all
record
3
books.
of those guards, when they won MVP, had literally seasons that no other guard in their position had done before. Russ averaged a triple-double. James Harden had the greatest scoring stretch maybe we've seen in the regular season, and Steph Curry broke the 3-point record twice.
And that's the other part of it, is that who is he competing against? Like, not only are you competing against Giannis and stuff like that, there's other guards who are going to put up better guard numbers than he is, most likely this year. To be honest, you want to hear a dark horse for MVP who shouldn't be a dark horse is Steph Curry. I hate to say it, but
he's not a dark horse.
He is.
I'm pretty sure they came out. He's like the second best odds to win MVP or something.
We'll have to check that. But the team as a whole is being considered a dark horse, and I'm going to.
Maybe
they are.
Maybe
dude, I saw where
stupid.
people are saying they're going to miss the playoffs.
Well, those people are idiots. Like, those people are just morons.
Overall, I think we're going to see the Steph Curry. I might go out and bet on Steph Curry.
Could you argue Paul George?
You could argue Paul George. I just think that it's too early to see with that dynamic, whereas with Steph, this isn't uncharted territory for him. He has been, in fact, when he had this type role before was when he was at his best. Once KD came to town is when he kind of took, not a backseat, but didn't put pedal to the metal as hard.
Unconfrontational. They're just unconfrontational.
Right, and he shared the ball a little bit more. Now he's going to be, again, squarely on his shoulders with guys who will do the other stuff for him. Klay Thompson will be the off-ball guy once he comes back. Draymond is your defensive anchor and your roll man on the offensive side, and obviously that's the lockdown defender. On the defensive side, it's going to come down to Steph's ability to facilitate and Steph's ability to score.
We already recanted how much D'Angelo Russell loves to shoot the 3-ball. He did it with the Nets. So he comes in and takes Clay's spot. Yeah, come on now. He comes in and takes Clay's spot.
Forget about it, but that's ridiculous. He's just
a throw-in now. He comes in and takes Clay's spot for at least the All-Star break or at the earliest till the All-Star break or right after it. I don't see them missing a huge beat. He won't shoot it as well, but he'll shoot it just as frequently and won't be shy to do it. And then when they get Clay back, maybe at the end of the regular season, they probably go into the playoffs. I see as a 3 or 4 seed. You get Clay back, and now you're upsetting people in the playoffs.
Right. Well, what would be really bad is, not bad for the West, not bad for the Warriors, is if they roll in as a 6 seed and then are finally healthy, like typical recent Spurs where, we're going to rest our guys, we're not really going to try for a high seed, and then we're going to dominate you in your home.
And then who do they probably, if they get the 6 seed, who do they probably see?
Houston.
The Rockets, which is hilarious.
Which, I don't know. We'll see if this iteration can do it.
Right. We kind of got off on a tangent there. We were supposed to be talking about if Giannis is going to win the title.
Right. Let's circle back.
I feel like your hometown behind is going to say no just because you desperately want the Sixers to pull it together this year and win the title. Look at you.
It really did dig at me that you just said that. As if the Sixers aren't the best team in the Eastern Conference. But I think
Ben Simmons in the playoffs is... Say it with me, Jake. Everybody say it with me this time.
No, I don't.
Shaky,
he's a little
baby.
shaky. I'll say it for that because he definitely was. But when you look at Giannis in the playoffs, he was shaky, baby, as well.
Don't take my.
And I took it. His points per game fell from 27.7 to 22.2 in the Toronto series, and his true shooting fell from 64.4 to 51.8 in that same series. He's a great player. He is, in all senses of the word, amazing, the things he does on the court. But his inability to shoot consistently hurt him in this series bad.
And the game slows down in the playoffs. We know that. It becomes much more analytical, much more half-court. And if Giannis can't dominate the full court, especially, you have to look at who he was playing. Because when he played up against the Raptors were a team who, even though they played with one of the best paces in the NBA last year, were very okay with taking the air out of the ball when they needed to, and had very good players who were able to do that. When they locked down on the defensive end and made it much more of a half-court game, they were able to stifle Giannis a little bit. If he's not controlling the full court like that, is when you see this dip in production.
So I just pulled up a quote from our buddy Colin Cowherd.
He's my buddy.
He said, in my lifetime of watching the NBA since 1970, there have been 5 guys who have been physically different than the rest of the league.
Wait, can I guess?
Can we guess the 5? We're going to guess the 5.
Shaquille O'Neal.
That's one.
LeBron James.
Yes.
Giannis, I guess, if you're bringing it up, is probably on there.
He's number 6. Who are the...
so he's not on there.
He's not in the top 5.
Michael Jordan has to be on there.
Not physically.
He's not on there.
Dude,
Ralph
come on.
Sampson.
Magic, and Wilt are the
Durant, Magic, and Wilt. I probably should have got Durant.
Like 73. Like, it's a weird one to throw in. If he's
right, and especially for him saying that he saw. But
Coward's a weird word.
He is a weird word.
Durant?
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know about that one, but
put Durant in the company of Shaq and LeBron.
MJ was a
7-footer who can shoot nothing.
That's true.
Also, who was probably weird. Another honorable mention on that list should have been Dr. J for the things that he could do physically.
Yeah,
but
athlete.
But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you.
No, I mean the point of that was he was saying the 6'1" is going to be Giannis. Yeah. So respectively so. I think
It was physically I mean, Giannis he's taller than Kevin Durant, can move as quick as him, is laterally as good.
His wingspan is unreal.
If he's already kind of developing a handle. If he ever develops any kind of working jump shot, it gets very, very scary. This man is 24 years old.
And he didn't give a shit. He was chucking those things.
He hasn't hit his prime yet. Right. He has not even hit his prime yet.
That's like Freddy vs. Jason scary.
Yeah, it is. It's real weird.
But it all depends on that ability to shoot. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, you got to be able to, especially if the Bucks want to use him as a guard, and not just let him be a point forward. If they want him to actually be in the backcourt, you got to be able to control the perimeter. I say it all the time. Being a point guard is being more than just being able to dribble and shoot. You got to be able to control the perimeter of the floor, make people respect you out there. People just don't respect Giannis yet.
Right.
All right, guys, now it's time for our mailbag segment. Let's see who has questions for this week for Straight Facts.
All right, so our first one is an Andrew Luck take from a guy, Mikey Lopez sent this one in. Our guy, Mikey, let's see what he has to say.
All right, Mikey, chop it up then.
Yo, what's going on? I got a take about Andrew Luck, and everybody wants to say, oh, well, it's his decision. Oh, you got to worry about his health. And all of those things are true. And if Andrew Luck would have decided at the end of last season that he wanted to retire, I don't think anybody would have had a problem with it. The issue is that he's doing this right before the season starts when the Colts do not have the opportunity to adjust. If he had any respect for his teammates, he would announce that this is his last season and finish it out. But he doesn't because he's selfish. And those are straight facts.
I That was
Go
straight.
in.
All right, go off, Mikey. Is he a Colts fan? Because that sounded like personal.
I think it's just a loyal NFL fan because I do see it from his point of view.
He was hot. To his point, a couple points that he made. One, is he selfish for it? Yeah. Is he justifiably selfish for it? Absolutely. Like, is Andrew Luck thinking about anybody else but Andrew Luck in this situation? No. And I would argue that he is 100% in the right to be able to do that. Because think about this. If Andrew Luck, with all his injuries, said, no, I'll play in pain for one more year. I'll push through it. Even if it means I wake up aching every day and go to bed in pain, I will push through it for you guys. Would anybody in the Colts say, no, Andrew? Think about yourself. You are in too much pain. We don't want you to do that.
Hell no.
No.
Doubtful.
They're going to wrap this man in ice packs, hit him with cortisone shots in every part of his body, and send him out there and see what he can do. They would 100% do that. So as Andrew Luck, you have to be the only person who was thinking about Andrew Luck. So think about Andrew Luck. Absolutely.
And especially, it's like, I equate it to when you're retiring, you're old, and you just never know. It's like,
but he's not
when
old.
when you're injured, when a poop sneaks up on you, you don't know you got a poop until it hits you, and then you know. So it might be ill-timed, but if you gotta go, you gotta go.
Analogy, dude.
Come on, Mike.
That's an absolutely awful analogy.
Look, the quote of the day, when you gotta go, you gotta
It
go.
applies to football and also defecating.
And here's the thing. Is Mikey made the point if he had any respect for his teammates or his coaches. And there is a little part of me that thinks that, one, like you said, it was very unanticipated by Andrew Luck. Like, it seems if I had to pull something out of context and kind of infer and read between the lines, Jules making a face at
No, I'm making a face because I think it was anticipated. If you listen to certain verbiage the coach says in press conferences,
Good word.
Did I say T word?
Yeah, that's actually good.
No, seriously. Prior to him coming out and saying that he is now departing from the NFL, I think the coach knew for a little bit now. I think he pulled the coach aside and said, hey, look, this is what I'm planning. You need to start adjusting, but he did it in secrecy.
Look, there were teams who were willing to give up first-round picks for Jacoby Brissett. He said no. And
That's probably why.
And what I don't know if he necessarily knew that Andrew Luck is going to retire, but I think he knew that we're going to need Jacoby Brissett at some point. Look, I'm not an idiot.
I think he did.
I've seen Andrew Luck get injured time and time before. I don't want to give up our backup quarterback who we've already invested in without a legitimate third option going in there.
And here's my counter take for Mikey. If Andrew Luck was a true team player, he actually would have told the Colts to trade him and then retire.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get something for me.
Touché.
Oh, but that would have been the slimiest
No, you
move
can't do
in the
it. You can't
NFL.
do it.
The absolute slimiest move in the NFL. All right, our next one comes from a familiar face here on Straight Facts. Our man's Cam Cook out of New Hampshire, and I'm sure he's got something crazy to say as he always does. Let's listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Cam from New Hampshire again. I got a hypothetical plot for you. You're the head coach. It's the bottom of the ninth. There's 2 outs, and your pitcher's up. You got 2 position players left on the bench, so you got to go to one of them. And you just need to keep the inning alive. You don't need to win the game. The 2 hitters are Michael Jordan and Tim Tebow. Who are you putting in to extend the game?
Mike Jordan, 2 terrible baseball players.
Right, and Tim Tebow.
Two people who did not make their living at baseball and somehow got a crack at it anyway. Michael Jordan and Tim Tebow. Who are you going with? Just to keep the game alive, which actually kind of changes my answer. You don't have to win it. Just keep it alive.
The fair answer might be Michael Jordan, but I hate Michael Jordan, so I'm going to take
Do you
Tim
really?
Tebow.
Well, yeah. Why do you hate Michael
Why?
Jordan?
He's a dick.
Based on
Him
Kanye's a
investing
dick,
in Chris
you know
Paul.
him.
He's a humongous dick.
They
It's
know
not
he
even
is, he
art.
is.
Jordan would call himself a dick.
Yeah, he probably
as a
would call
He's
himself
compliment.
reveled in it. He punched Steve Kerr in the face in practice. Michael Jordan is a noted dick.
Kobe
I'm not
punched
defending.
people.
He yelled at Barkley for giving money to a homeless guy.
I mean, look, I would say Tim Tebow also did not qualify if this is back in his heyday Michael Jordan. I'm assuming it's decrepit, can't run an NBA franchise Michael Jordan, who is walking around right now, and for that reason I go Tim Tebow.
No. I think it's when they're both playing baseball.
I still go Tim Tebow.
So in 96, what was that, 95 and 96 that Michael Jordan was playing baseball?
94.
when he was petrified of Hakeem and
Yeah,
them.
94, right, exactly. When he ran from Hakeem and them, 94, 95, and then recent Tim Tebow. Look, Tim Tebow made the Double-A All-Star game last year. Whether it was, he hit like sub 220 or something like that. So he might have made it because of his name, but he made the thing too.
He was so
to bring in fans.
He's so goofy. I can't with him.
The Double-A All-Star game, but I think Michael Jordan is much more disciplined than Tim Tebow is. Tim Tebow looks like that guy who just wants to go up there and just swing at everything and have.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question. The question was, who do you think would win?
But no, it's to keep it alive. Michael Jordan probably draws that walk. If I go to Michael Jordan and say, "Don't swing, I just need you to draw a walk," I trust him more to do that than Tim Tebow. I think Tim Tebow's good up there and hacking.
You know, MJ's good in clutch situations, but I don't like MJ, so I'm going to go Tim Tebow.
Who you go with?
Listen, at the end of Space Jam, he hit a home run, so I'm going to go with that.
He did. Joel, that's the greatest thing you ever said. That is very true.
I didn't think about it for a second.
As R. Kelly's going out to I Believe I Can Fly.
Oh, wait, we don't speak to him.
He's canceled. He's canceled. But yeah, all right, so we got 2 Michael Jordans and a Tim Tebow.
I guess MJ wins then.
Or Stat Matt, are you going to tie it up? Who do you go with?
I'll be the analytical answer. It depends if it's a left or right-handed.
Oh, God. Matt. Answer the damn question. Answer the goddamn question, Matt. Tim Tebow or Michael Jordan to keep it alive?
Tebow would want to hit the home run. I need the walk.
There you go. Mike Jordan.
All right, there it is.
3-1.
MJ.
And if you're the Warriors, you blow that. Anyway, let's move on.
We don't have any more mailbag?
No.
Nope.
Short mailbag. Two great questions today, though.
Those were solid questions.
Good questions.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move it on to the countdown. Number 5.
The number of rings Kobe Bryant has, although recently he said that he would have 12 if Shaq had his work ethic. To that, I say, no, Kobe, you would have 20 if Shaq had your work ethic. If Shaq had your work ethic, he would be a demigod. He already is one of the best players of all time.
Here's the thing. Even without Shaq's Kobe-like work ethic, he was still better than Kobe.
Right.
So what do you
let Kobe know?
And here's the thing. The reason that Shaq left the Lakers isn't because of Shaq. It's because of Kobe. What does his work ethic have to do with you winning rings? If him staying there would have just continued to overshadow you.
Kobe chose being the best player on the team over winning more rings.
Kobe did win 2 more rings after Shaq, though, right? So, look. Here's the thing: they squashed the beef
10 years later
on social media. They squashed the beef.
They were right in saying that the media the media wanted them to be feuding. So I wanted them to be feuding so bad. That would have been very entertaining.
I think in Shaq's clapback, he was talking oh, I thought you were talking about Dwight, and was making fun of Dwight Howard as he usually does.
Oh man, effortless shot at Dwight. Effortless shot.
Number 4.
Number 4, the number of QBs in NFL history with 4+ first-team All-Pros. That's Peyton Manning with 7, Otto Graham with 7, Johnny Unitas with 5, and Sammy Ball with 4. Tom Brady has 3. Do you think he will get that 4th and become the 5th player on this list? That first-team All-Pro this year?
No.
Which means he's the best quarterback in the league.
I don't think he will. I think it's Mahomes' time. I do. I don't think this is going to be the next. I don't see Mahomes going anywhere. Where is he going to drop off the face of the earth? Where suddenly Brady is.
But all of a sudden, Tom Brady does get. I mean, for what it's worth, he does get another weapon back, and he gets another one of Demaryius Thomas. We're still yet to see how good the Demaryius Thomas can be.
They're going to be too good of a team, in my opinion, to get those stats. Kansas City, Mahomes partially had those stats because they were throwing all the time because their defense couldn't stop anyone.
Brady still throws 50 times a game.
I'm just saying. I think that
2-yard ins.
Right, 2-yard. They're 2-yard.
I said 50 times. Turnarounds. What they were. Still 50 yards. I say there's a good chance, but I think you're right. I think it's moving more towards a Mahomes or Rodgers or Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3.
Number of Super Bowls won for the Broncos by quarterbacks who were drafted by the Colts. John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. Obviously, only Manning and Elway played for the Broncos, and they won 3 combined with the Broncos, where there was only one for the Colts out of those 3. That's Manning. And by the way, in real life and in football, it turns out Colts grow up to be Broncos.
That's the luck of the horseshoe if I've ever heard of it before.
Boom, right there.
My goodness, what an unlucky franchise.
Number 2.
The amount of times Serena Williams has ever lost to Maria Sharapova. This is a 20-year career. This is a 16-year rivalry. And only twice has Serena Williams ever fallen to Maria Sharapova. We already know that Serena Williams is the GOAT, but a lot of people think Maria Sharapova is very high up on that list for female tennis players. And she has only bested Serena 2 times during their entire career.
Right, and you talk about like rivalries. And
she's like 26-2.
This is one that they call a rivalry, but it's only because Serena's so dominant that you have just no one else to compare.
Oh yeah, she probably has that kind of stat against everybody.
That's a rival. Yeah, Maria Sharapova's a rival.
Maria Sharapova might like. I would wonder how many tennis players have beat Serena like more than twice, 3 times. Like probably not many in head-to-head matchups.
Bring it down to number 1.
Number 1, the Astros are the first team in MLB history to lose as a minus 550 favorite. This was versus Detroit earlier in the season. They also set the record for largest loss in terms of betting as minus 410 favorites. They decided they needed to break that record again.
Yeah, I bet they didn't lose sleep over either of these games.
No, but
they're
maybe
like the second best team in baseball.
Someone
right now.
who
The Tigers don't mean nothing.
Someone who bet on that game might lose some sleep.
Oh, a lot of sleep. They also lost a lot of money.
No.
That really sucks.
Yes, it did.
We're almost out of time. We can get some shots up at the buzzer. Jewel, do you have anything to say at the buzzer?
I do. So Mark Farzetta, my former coworker of mine at WIP, tweeted yesterday that Sean Rodriguez gets booed during intros, booed at his first PA.
Cheered when hit by a pitch. I love you, Philadelphia. What do you guys think about that topic?
I think and I'm wearing a Phillies jersey. For all those who are watching and for those who are listening, I am a Phillies fan. Yes, I think Sean Rodriguez was right when he said Phillies fans are entitled. I 100%. Maybe not 100% agree, but I agree with what he said.
I don't know about entitled. I do think they were in the wrong for...
They booed the man after hitting a walk-off.
Right, like that's ridiculous. And then on top of that, like he even said further, like, you know, instead of booing and saying, hey, you're doing really bad, like, why not try and be the catalyst of getting me out of that? Someone say, hey, come on, John, you could do it. And that is, of course, the folly of people who have never played in Philadelphia, come into Philadelphia and expect something different.
Kind of shame on you for thinking that, Sean. But there's also 2 things. One, that's the kind of player you boo is someone who's been on your team for a long time, someone who's a major part of your team, and someone who's...
They can't go anywhere.
They can't go anywhere, and someone who's performing bad but not trying to perform well. Sean Rodriguez checks none of those boxes. He's a rotational position player who came here from the Pirates and has had like 25 at bats this season. Like
the advice I'd give Sean Rodriguez is just lay low, bro.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to bring that upon yourself. You're only going to make it worse. You might be right, but what
he hit a walk-off and then got booed.
And it's terrible. And Andrew Luck is one of the hardest competitors ever, and he got booed heading off the field for the final time.
Which is just as trash.
Exactly. So what I would tell you is, no matter what fan base it is, there are dumb fans who are going...
That's what this is about. This is
trying
trying to defend Philly sports fans again.
Well, I'm just saying that it's in any situation, lay low. The fans, you responding is not going to change anything. And, yeah, if you want to target Philly sports fans, go ahead and look around a little bit.
He said Phillies fans.
I know.
Not Philly fans. I'm going to go next for my At the Buzzer. My At the Buzzer is going to stay very on brand with the whole Andrew Luck retirement and everything. Andrew Luck said in his press conference, whether you think he was selfish or not, he said in his press conference that he was been in this cycle of injury, pain, rehab, and that has taken the joy of football, the joy of the game away. We've seen many other players in the NFL retire early. You alluded to it earlier. Rob Gronkowski came out this past week too and said that he was in a very dark place. Even he said he had a ring on his finger and it was a very dark place.
That was really sad.
Yeah, he's got 2 or 3.
He was really emotional.
Yeah, I've never seen Gronk frown, let alone cry. So this was a lot for him. And we've seen many other players who it doesn't have to be a concussion for these injuries to really take a toll on you mentally. And this is what I would say to the NFL is when you see other leagues, when you see other players from other leagues come out about mental illness and needing help, it took 2 players in the NBA of 1 season to say it. And the very next season, the NBA institutes a rule that every team must not only have a mental health specialist, a mental health team, a team of specialists to help you. If you have not only players retiring, stars retiring early from your sport, saying that injuries are taking a toll on them both physically and mentally, they're losing the joy from the game, I think now the NFL is on the NFL's responsibility to go and do something to help the biggest stars in their game who are falling victim to things like this.
I think every sport should be like that. Have that outlet if needed.
But especially a sport that is based on not even based on contact, based on collision. It is based on grown-ass men running into each other at full speed. Injuries are going to happen. We get it. And I understand that this is what you signed up for when you signed up to play football. You didn't sign up for the fact that in 30 years after you retire from the game that you love, you either have problems remembering stuff, getting up in the morning, doing basic everyday functions because you dedicated most of your adult life to playing a sport that's going to hurt you later in your elderly life. The NFL has a huge responsibility on their hands.
And we've seen.
I just hope they do the right thing.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Did he just say NFL and do the right thing?
What else can I...
Very contradictory.
Well, yeah, right. Very contradictory. What else can I say, though?
Of course. And you're right, nail on the head there. But the NFL only does the right thing when it's profitable for them to do that. So maybe if there's more stars that start retiring and teams start losing money out of this type of stuff...
Who do you need to see? Barry Sanders, height of his career. Calvin Johnson, height of his career. Gronk, height of his career. What do you need to see? These are stars. These are the best players in the league at the time retiring and at the best position. So what else do you need to see when you I just don't get it. Yeah. If immediate action doesn't get taken, it's really bad.
So I'm gonna end us on a high note here,
which is why I went second because I knew he was going to.
If you guys would scroll down in your script to where my name is there.
Why are we? The more people keep dropping. Is this what?
So this will Matt started on Twitter
Matt
for those
started
listening,
this last week,
and we're gonna post it on the video. Booger McFarland is a clone of Zion Williamson, in 5 years when he's gumboed up, thick as a mug.
Gumboed up?
That is, I'm staring at Booger McFarland.
He looks like his, suit stuff.
It is, he looks stuffed into his suit. It's harrowing.
Looks like a snowman.
When Zion loses his hair and is beefed up because of all the New Orleans food, he's going to look just like Booger McFarland. You can't tell me wrong.
Booger looks like a balloon that's just at capacity about to pop.
Bro, why is his name Booger? I hate that.
I think his real name's what did we?
It's either Anthony or Anthony. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's one of them. But if
his name is Booger. That's all you gotta know about my man.
Man won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl winner.
Man did win a Super Bowl. And with that being said, that's all the time we have for this episode of Straight Facts. Big ups to Greg Barron, Kyle Sobieski, and Stat Matt Robinson behind the camera. For my lovely partner, Joel Schmitz. Lovely. Like that. I threw something extra.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
To my main man's Jake Galley, I'm James Jackson, and these have been the facts.
Straight up.